To the Twitters.
Oh my god! Last week, this shit. I don't know what happened that it didn't let me download the file. I had to record a YouTube stream to get the audio.
Oh shit!
I was freaking. I was like, "What is this bullshit?"
At least I'm awake this time. So. Fuck. I keep looking. I put my notes over here. I don't have to look.
Any more crazy shit happen in your road to the shows, though?
No, I haven't played. Oh, I got traded to the Braves, but that's about it.
Oh, I've turned down the job offer twice, by the way.
Oh, you sound like Cespedes right now. Just keep getting traded.
Yeah, because I keep demanding. I like the Braves, though. I might stick around, even though they traded for Acuna for me straight up.
Oh wow! Oh, that's right.
So I guess that's an honor.
Yeah.
We're tops of the wild card. We're 6 games out of the division.
Oh, by the way, Kevin, we're live. Do you want to break that news? I know I interrupted you right now.
The what?
You want to break your news?
What news?
I don't think he does.
No, I don't want to break that one.
You already did. You said it. We were in live.
Son of a bitch. Yeah. I still got a decision to make on Monday, but the decision's no. But
let's see. Pinwheels and Ivy.
I'm no scab.
Damn, this kid Blaze Jordan hits fucking bombs.
Oh, wait, did someone take him? Did someone take him?
Yeah, the Red Sox did.
Just now?
No, a while ago.
Oh, dude, he's a freak show. Dude, that's like, he's supposed to be the next Bryce Harper. I'm not kidding. That kid's been doing it since he was like 12. He was fat 12 kid.
A+ name, too.
Oh, yeah. What was it? Blaze Jordan?
Blaze Jordan. Blaze Jordan.
I follow him on Twitter. I've been following him for like 3 years.
It's like the one guy the Cubs signed from like, I forget where. His name was like, what was it? Oh, shit, now I can't remember.
Did you
tweet
the
guy
it
from what's the guy from The Dark Knight Rises?
Bane?
Bane, yeah, it was like Bane something. All right, tweeted.
Okay, let me just, there we go. Let's retweet that. All right. All right, you guys ready? All right. In 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? It is Friday, June 12th, and you have found the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. I am your host, Matt Zwoski. They call me Zoe. And with me, as always, Mr. Aldo Soto.
Ed Howard, baby.
Shut up.
And by the way, shout out to you who called it like half an hour before it happened. Thank you.
I did. And Mr. Kevin Fiddler. Damn it, I'm mad. And Kevin Fiddler.
Well, I'm awake this time, and I would like to officially name Luke Little, the Cubs' 6'8" left-handed reliever. I would like to call him Tiny Unit.
Tiny Unit. I don't know if he'd like that nickname. I think you might have to workshop that one, bud, because that has other meanings. Yeah,
little unit doesn't work either.
No, I mean you can't be like, "Hey, what's up?" They call me the little unit. That's not a pickup line, dude.
It's his last name. It fits. It's irony.
The not little unit.
So yeah, obviously this is our MLB draft show. We talked about it a little bit last week. Weird times indeed. 5 rounds only. Kind of flew through it as we're recording this. The 5th round's just about getting started. So we're going to go through the Cubs and the Sox draft picks, kind of give you our impressions, and just kind of overall just see where it goes. I know Kevin's excited. He's got a bunch of notes. So we are ready to get into it. So all that being said, let's tap this keg. As always, the show is brought to you by SportsMockery, sportsmockery.com. Make sure you're downloading the app, turning on push notifications so you can be alerted every time one of your beloved Chicago teams make a draft pick or when sports get started, all the latest and breaking news. SportsMockery, sportsmockery.com. So, baseball draft. it was cool. I mean, although you kind of touched on it with absolutely zero sports on TV, should have easily just made this 3 nights prime time every night, because I think this is the first time in maybe ever I watched the entire first round. Like usually I'll just like time it up and flip it on when the White Sox are drafting, but I watched every pick, every backstory, every ridiculous comp they made, and we're gonna get to that. Oh, dude, did you watch it on MLB Network or on ESPN?
I watched some of the coverage on MLB Network on Wednesday night.
So their in-depth analysis, fantastic, really, really good. I mean, they knew a lot about these people, especially a lot of these kids didn't play a senior season. They were very well prepared and ready to go, but then they would start rolling out these comps. And I was just like, what are you doing, man? My personal favorite and the one that
I want to see if you have the same one, because I saw it and I couldn't believe it was real.
let me see, where's the kid?
It was like a high school. No, was it a high school?
Yeah, it was high school. Yeah, Robert Hessel III. He went 8th overall to the Padres, and he got compared to Mike Trout.
They like showed the exit velocities, the launch angle,
Yeah.
and it was like, really, guys? Like,
Kids,
why are you doing this to like
kids-
an 18-year-old kid, comparing him to
18
the greatest player maybe ever?
18-year-old kid, just had the best night of his life, got drafted by the Padres, juiced, ready to go, and MLB Network's throwing Mike Trout comps on him. That seems a little unfair.
By the way, just going overall to the coverage and like them, in my opinion, normally I would say like, hey, if you're somewhat interested, when the draft is, what time it's starting,
Right.
when day 2 is starting. On Wednesday night, first round, prime time, they have it. There's nothing else on. I'm on Twitter. I'm trying to keep track of all the picks, waiting for the Sox at 11 and the Cubs at 16. I am on like MLB's Twitter timeline. They're like half an hour behind.
Yeah,
Like
way behind.
I'm
Way
like,
behind.
how are you guys not just have like everything for every pick? Like, what are you guys doing? So that was annoying. I mean, I know I've like not really been hardcore paying attention to baseball for the past like couple months.
Mhm.
I had no clue what time like day 2 of the draft started. I got on Twitter and like the Cubs second round pick was announced 20 minutes ago. Like after I logged on, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, it started at like 4 Central. It was like, what are you
Like, what do
doing?
First of all,
Yeah.
you could have done it again Thursday night, and then you could just done it again Friday night because there's nothing else on.
No, they definitely fumbled this, spread it out 3 nights. I mean, I would have watched more of it, but I was
Yeah.
working like 90% of America. Just
Let's get to the juicy part, though. How mad were you when the Cubs picked Ed Howard? Ace program alumnus
yeah,
from the White Sox.
So yeah, all right. So let's paint the picture, if you will. So the draft is going on. There was a couple surprises. Picks were a little shuffled. Everybody tweeted out mock drafts of being blown up and whatnot. It was going back and forth, and then it got to we're around the 9th pick. Colorado takes Veen, and you're like, okay, it's a good pick, good value there. And then it's the Angels pick, and I didn't think the Angels were going to go pitching at all. And I'm sitting here thinking, all right, the White Sox are going to get Detmers, and I was like, hold on, pause. Is there a lot of feedback?
Too. That's why I'm like, what the fuck? I still hear it.
Yeah, I muted you. Let's see.
I think it's my mic. I was doing a call earlier today, and someone said that there was a lot of feedback on my mic.
Oh, okay.
Is it still there?
No.
It's not there anymore?
No.
All right, I turned down the volume on my mic. Was that it? But now I can't hear you, Kevin.
Oh, that was me. I muted.
Oh, okay.
All right, you guys keep talking.
Kevin,
You guys can hear me now.
No, I can.
Yeah. I heard that. I was tapping my ear like this. That's what I was doing. I was like,
I thought you were saying you can't hear me.
no, I heard that. Like,
Is the static on?
sound.
Can you hear me still? Like, is it gone?
There's no static. Yeah, it's gone now.
It's gone now.
But it was there. It was the entire time we were recording.
Yeah.
It sounded like.
All right. Do you want to just start again?
We can if you want.
I mean, is that going to sound terrible?
No,
it's fine.
I mean,
We're only like a couple minutes.
I mean, it was a definitely squealing the whole time though. Like that's how I was like, oh shit, I thought my mic because I tried something. If you can't tell, I'm trying something new.
I thought it was my mic too, but
I unplugged my shit and I popped it. Like I had to like fucking like.
we can just
Alright.
restart again. It's fine.
You want to just take it from the top, or do you
Sure.
go right?
Do you
in
remember
we
where we
were?
left off?
Yeah, I remember where we left off.
All right, no, just keep going. It's fine. It was
All
only
right.
like a couple.
Yeah, it's only 10 minutes. So, all right.
How mad were you?
So Aldo, start it now. So we get down to like the 10th pick, and I didn't think the Angels were going to take pitching whatsoever. So I'm like, oh shit, the Sox might get Detmers. And that was a pretty popular pick with everybody here as they wanted Detmers. And of course, the Angels took Detmers. So then the next thing I'm thinking to myself is, oh, baby, give me some Ed Howard. Here we go. On the Southside kid from, played for Mount Carmel. That I went to a rival school of Mount Carmel, so it was good to see the Catholic Metro Blue. I was like, this is it. It's lining up perfectly. Everything, it just all fell into place. And then the White Sox, with the 11th pick, took Garrett Crochet, pitcher out of Tennessee. And the initial reaction from White Sox Twitter was mostly anger. Definitely anger. Some more than others. What up, King Mac? But I'm disappointed. I did a couple of different preview shows, and I never brought up the name Garrett Crochet once. I didn't see it in anybody else's. Apparently, some dude from MLB.com had it on his mock. But
that's why I was like, one guy.
Yeah, one guy, and I was just like, I didn't go to school on the kid. I didn't, have a lot of information. I was just more, for lack of a better term, just like butthurt that I didn't get the pick I wanted, which was Ed Howard. And then I said, I think it was right after that pick, I messaged you two, and I was like, Ed Howard to the Cubs, watch. And I was half joking, half super frustrated. Like, this is, I'm going to be so mad when this happens. And then flash forward to pick number 16.
6 years after Theo Epstein told Ed Howard, keep working, keep going to class, and we'll see you in the draft.
Yep.
Which again proves that Theo Epstein is not the god, but he is a god. Although he was wrong with the year. He said 2023.
He thought Ed was going to go to college this year.
Yeah.
It's fine. He was better. He turned out to be a lot better. Did he need to go?
So I was a little upset. And I think typically in any sport, when you have the draft, the gut reaction of the fan base is going to be upset with whatever pick, unless it's like your guy. You know what I mean? So, and sometimes it's warranted, Trubisky, and sometimes it's, it works out because some guys are like, who is, whatever, and it plays out. But let's break down these first round picks and just going in order. We'll go back to Crochet, and obviously since he was drafted on Wednesday night, I've gone to school on him a little bit and learned a lot more about him. And I gotta say, I'm just more excited now. I think he's a good pitcher. 3 proven pitches from what we've been told. You hear a lot of stuff. He was another one though. Real lazy. I think a real lazy comparison. Yes. He's 6'6". He's lefty, and he throws from 3/4. He's Chris Sale. It's like, come on. And he's to the White Sox. Holy smokes. He's Chris Sale. And it's like, again, let's see him, whatever.
We need to change like the definition of like comps to just like who do these guys remind you of?
Yeah, and that's what the compare.
That's all these are.
That's what they are. They're just trying to give fans like a frame of reference. Really, it's kind of which is unfair to the prospect, because then all of a sudden it lays that weight of the world. Your delivery looks like Chris Sale.
Right.
That's it. Like it doesn't mean you have the same mental makeup or the same strength, even the same size, but your delivery is a little bit 3/4 and it looks like Chris Sale's delivery. But that's like saying like someone that stands like Ernie Banks is Ernie Banks, and it's not.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. You have your elbow up. Okay. So you're Ernie Banks? No. And that's unfair to the prospect too.
I think that's the biggest thing to me is I just think it's unfair to the kid. You know what I mean? It's just
because that follows them. It follows them.
Oh, 100%. The kid that got comped to Mike Trout on draft night, like, I mean, that's the first thing that I remembered. And so, but Crochet comes in. He was the 18th ranked prospect in the top 200. Like I said, 6'6", slender kid, throws from 3/4. 3 proven pitches. You know, when he pitched for Tennessee, he basically lived in the 92 to 97 range on his fastball. But there's that video going around now where he was hitting 100 on the gun during, they call them quarantine bullpens. He had a little bit of shoulder soreness, so they played it pretty. Yeah, I know they played it pretty close to the vest with him, and you know he just had one appearance in the truncated 2020 season. But again, good slider, above average spin rate on that. Yeah, I mean, he had the top ranked collegiate pitcher fastball from baseball. What was it? Baseball Prospects?
I think.
Yeah, Baseball America. So he had the number 1 rated fastball, college pitcher. And everything that I've read and heard from coaches and people that would know say he's closer to MLB ready than a lot of the pitchers that they saw. So a lot of people think he might be taking the Chris Sale route where they could start him out in the bullpen and then move him into the, you know, eventually get him into a starter slot. Some people are thinking a second or third starter is basically his ceiling. If it works out, I guess you could say that about every draft pick if it works out. But I don't know. Health is a concern for me. But I honestly don't mind this pick after all is said and done.
When you saw me take that about face in our chat too, like I was like, it's pretty stupid. And then because you know I liked a couple other dudes ahead of that, but the more I saw the kid, I liked it. Like it's a good pick. Like again, is he going to be Chris Sale? Probably not. But if he is, bonus. But the kid if you get a number 3 starter out of your first round pick, you've done well in a draft.
Yes.
Like that's a good ceiling. And I think that ceiling's higher than that, obviously. And I think if you get a guy that's kind of relief ready, you can get a guy that can move up the system pretty quick, kind of move up and learn and get with the best coaches you have in your system, which are generally your top, you know, your D, you know, your double A and then your triple A guys. And then you get to the show and you got your best guys to keep that kid going. I mean, when you got a kid like that, it's a score, I think. And it took me a second to like, it's not glamorous at first because you have all these other names. Like for you, Ed Howard it's like, you know, being like in a room of hot women, you know, being very attractive, but not the most attractive, but the most consistently attractive, the natural beauty. And he's got natural beauty, I think, when you're comparing it.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen the videos from like the batter's eye and stuff. It's a tough delivery to pick up. And I mean, if he does have that above average spin rate on the slider, like that's very Chris Sale, I guess, if you will. But you know, you got Hader's another big lefty like that has the slider. I don't know if it works out. And this is an extremely rare, and we're in uncharted waters with, you know, the way this year's been playing out and stuff like that. He's probably going to get a shot right away in whatever kind of spring training we get. And who knows, we might see him in this weird season throwing bullpen, you know? So
never underestimate deception. Never.
Right.
That makes someone a crafty, especially as a lefty, a crafty arm. And then you add into it actual stuff.
Yeah.
Kid could really, really, really succeed.
And they're saying that he's you know, probably going to be paid full slot, so that's $4.5 million. I mean, that's a pretty solid chunk of change, but for, you know, that's a very, if he could be what he says he is, that's good control for the first couple of years. So
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
End of the day.
And this is go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, end of the day, I said before we started recording, I kind of mellowed out a little bit more level, whatever. And I'm going to try to be optimistic, though, because there's no takebacks. He's on the White Sox now. You know what I mean? I'm going to root for this kid. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to root against it.
Right. I don't understand the people that are like, oh, I can't wait till this kid sucks so we can say, like, Han did it again or whatever. No, I'd be pretty sick if the kid turns out to be awesome.
The one thing I do have to say, and I think it's an incomplete criticism. It's not even a criticism, just because like obviously with COVID-19 happening, wiped out basically all the seasons for these guys. So his ceiling is like, all right, maybe he's like a 2 or 3 star in the rotation, but right now they drafted him as a reliever. So he's only made 13. He only made 13 starts in college. 12 of those came in when he was a freshman. So it's not like
right.
he still needs to prove. He still needs to prove that he's a starter.
He still needs to prove he's a starter.
I don't think that's like so in the bank as like a Chris Sale, who like eventually developed into like having like 13 starts his junior year.
Chris Sale had to basically demand them to make him a starter. Remember, they put him in the bullpen. And he's like, all right, I'll do it. And then he was just like, enough, I'm a starter. But that's the other thing, I guess, that I had a thought with Crochet is just some people, you could look at it as, yes, he's had a couple injuries. I mean, the dude got his jaw broke and pitched 2 weeks later. So, I mean, that's part of the game. But the shoulder soreness, yes, you have every reason to be concerned, especially with recent history, Michael Kopech and Rodon and stuff like that. But
Birdie,
I see it though. I'm almost all right where you're getting a guy that doesn't have a lot of miles. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to look at it from the other side of the coin. Like, maybe it's okay that they were overly they were overly cautious with him, and now he's got maybe a couple more years on the arm. So I don't know. We'll take it that way. So then if the 16th pick, and I'm going to let you guys talk more about him, but the Cubs went and they took my guy here, Ed Howard. Like I said,
Sox fans know him.
Southside kid, Mount Carmel High School.
Sorry.
Just a really good shortstop. I mean, hopefully the Cubs don't trade him away like Eloy and some other great.
There it is.
You guys want to play dirty? I'll play dirty.
This retribution of Zoe is brought to you by High West Whiskey. So shut the fuck up.
I didn't even want to bring up.
Fight you for that one.
But the kid been training under Barry Larkin, pretty decent mentor.
Tim
Anderson's been right there with him. He's been on the big stage with the Jackie Robinson stuff and the aftermath from that, because there was the whole kids playing out of district, and then grown men got mad about a little league team. It was really weird.
By the way, after the Cubs drafted him, I saw quite a few Sox fans on Twitter calling him a cheater. Just going to say that.
I mean,
or at least with Sox in their bio, at least. But it sounds like a scorned ex-girlfriend.
Breaking news: fan bases have idiots in them.
It's true.
So I really like this kid. He's an above-average fielder.
Not just above average.
Above average.
The best.
Why do you have to downplay this?
In the country, high school and college.
Zoe's trying to downplay it.
No, I'm not downplaying it. I'm just looking. I mean, the highest I saw him was at a 60 grade fielding. There's still room to improve, but his hand-eye coordination is impeccable. They said Barry Larkin actually gave him the nickname Silk. So that's what he's been going with. The bat is something that needs improvement, but that's something with that, as previously just mentioned, hand-eye coordination should not be a problem. I saw a lot of people yesterday saying like Omar Vizquel type stuff. Like, when you have that gift, that skill set, tracking baseballs just comes naturally. Committed to Oklahoma, but most likely going to sign. Full slot is 3.75. So I guess to get started with you guys with him on a team, with Javier Baez and some of these other guys up the middle, where does that Howard fit, and where would you like to see him start?
I mean, before Kevin gets into it, because I'm pretty sure he has a lot more notes than I do, but I'm just gonna say you can never have too many shortstops.
Very true.
Like you can never have too many shortstops.
Athletes.
Athletes, like if he's just great defensively, like great. Yeah, like if you just end up with a Gold Glove caliber middle infielder, fantastic. If that's his like floor, cool. Great character guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like loves the game. There's that whole thing where they're on the Zoom call and he was wearing his glove. He just wanted to get back out there, field some ground balls, get better. Just the intangibles, the character, passion for the game. Obviously needs to improve on the swing. I'm not going to go in deep into the mechanics because I'd be lying if I could break down a swing. Can't do that for you. I'm sure Kevin can get into that. But yeah, no, and like going back to the Sox thing, like obviously this only hurts because like there is that Sox connection.
Right.
Like if this is just like a Chicago guy and like, all right, he went to like a Southside school or whatever.
No,
I'm like, oh man, that sucks.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if like the Sox could have drafted him, but like this guy was considered like an elite guy, top shortstop drafted in the draft class this year, and like obviously there's the ACE program that he was brought up through with the White Sox. No, but it's just a great pick. Again, you can't ever have too many shortstop because
Nope.
There are no guarantees. As much as we don't want to think about Javier Baez that hasn't signed an extension, that's not a guarantee.
Right.
Nico Horner, he's he can play shortstop, second base, center field. We don't know where he's going to end up playing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can never have too many shortstops. Best athlete on the field most of the times. Love it. Great pick. Oh, and the one thing from last week that we briefly talked about, or that I briefly came up was when we're asking like, what direction do you want your team to go with, like the Cubs and Sox? Mm-hmm. And it's pretty clear that obviously the Cubs, they need pitching a lot because they haven't developed like a lot of great pitchers. They have like some guys in like the AA area right now who like have good potential, but like there are no clear cut guys who you can think of, except for like maybe Braylon Marquez. But so this draft with the 16th pick, the Cubs, they just saw the best player available and they got him, which is great. And I picked the best guy instead of your need. So that's all I got on at Howard.
You don't want to really draft need. And before I even get going, by the way, because I know that I have a couple of my former players that are listening to this because they're bored as shit, but I do want to congratulate Austin Wells from Bishop Gorman, also a first rounder. Last year was Bryson Stott, and this year Austin Wells, a Gorman kid. He went 28th overall, I think it was. So good kid. I coached against him. Fantastic ball player. Went with I believe he's a Yankee. So that kind of sucks, but that's all right. But he's a good ball player. So, but now to get to the real stuff, the team that I actually give a shit about. You guys know this. When I was talking to you guys in the chat, I actually wanted the Cavalli kid, the Cade Cavalli kid, because he's almost a major league ready reliever. The Cubs need that kind of stuff. Obviously Theo Epstein is a god, so I should shut the hell up. Because the more I looked at Ed Howard, I even sent an eggplant emoji to you guys because I got a little bit of blood flow watching the kid swing. He has a gorgeous swing. Yeah, he's 6'2", 185. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a starting shortstop that was silky smooth even back when he was a 12-year-old. He's the first Illinois high school position player to go in the first round since Jason Worth in 1997.
Damn.
He's an excellent defender. And honestly, like what does this tell us about the direction of the Cubs? This guy is not moving from shortstop. This guy is not moving. Javi Baez is going to play another position when this kid is ready. And does that mean he's going to move to third? Does that mean he's going to move to second? Nico to the outfield? Does that mean that perhaps Javi is asking for too much right now? And perhaps Javi won't be with the Cubs in 2 or 3 years. And that's the weird part about this is you do draft the best available player. The kid would have jumped the board had he played his senior season. He is like that kid that you sneak in and you just kind of pilfered. A lot of people said this was the best pick of the draft. Yep. Thus far, the Cubs won the first round by getting this kid with the 16th overall pick. He projects to be, and again, Addison Russell, when he was a high schooler and he was drafted, was projected to be the next quote unquote Barry Larkin. Okay, well, this kid also compares to Barry Larkin, except without the domestic violence. And this is a great part about what this kid is. He projects to be a 20-plus homer guy, a 20-plus stolen base guy, potential Gold Glover. His defense is his best part now as he develops into a hitter.
So good. It's so good.
Now, this is what I've heard too. Some scouts said he needs better foot speed. He's not a burner, but he has lateral quickness that's plus level. So that tells me he goes left, right, and sorry, Tim Anderson, he crashes better. I've seen some footage of him coming and attacking a baseball. He's good. He's got soft hands. He gets with it. And he was less of a secret in Chicago. And that's why when Sox fans saw him get taken by the Cubs, it was kind of and it wasn't I don't think it was an intentional FU. It was, this is the best guy available.
Right.
But I mean, if we're going to play in this Eloy Jimenez crap, now it's even. We're even now. We can stop talking about Eloy now, because when Ed Howard is done with his career, Eloy.
I'll wait before I agree to we're even.
We can compare it, but it's comparable. I'm sorry, it's a comparable to me. Because
right now, would you trade Eloy for Ed Howard?
No.
Ed Howard's only costing like $3 million. So,
but right. I like the kid. I think at 16th he's a steal, and I think it took me a second because again, you start watching the workout videos and you start seeing, you see the isolated swing. The kid has the quietest swing, and he's 6'2", 185, so he's a projectable frame. The kid's going to grow into about a 210. About weight wise, he might even grow a little bit. He's still young enough. He could still grow to be 6'2.5", 6'3", and this kid is a legitimate. Honestly, the more I've looked at it, he is the diamond in the rough that Theo tends to find, I guess. But this is this pick gave me the blood flow that it took me a second, and this is one of the best draft classes since 2011. And the fact that he was a secret, of course, a kid that didn't play his senior year is going to be kind of undervalued. And that was the steal that Theo got, and I'm jacked. I love it.
I really, 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 and a lot of people on Twitter thought that the Angels were going to take him at 10. I mean, I was fully convinced that the Angels were taking him at 10, and it would have made a lot of sense. I mean, I know they got Simmons, who's a Gold Glove shortstop over there, but I mean, I thought for sure the Angels were taking him at 10, and I'd be lying if I said it doesn't suck seeing him on the Cubs. It does, but I don't know if I'd say we're even for Eloy. But
that's something that
I guess I'm over it.
Yeah, you could say you're over it.
I'm over it. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Except for Adam Nissen, who said that Jose Quintana was a great pickup, worth losing Eloy Jimenez, and I will never let Adam Nissen live that down. I got screenshots.
Yeah, go.
Sorry.
No problem. But no, I think that was just a no-doubter home run of a pick by the Cubs. And, I mean, I really hope Garrett Crochet is good, man, because I think Ed Howard's going to be fantastic.
Well, it's going to be unfair. He can end up being good, but if Ed Howard ends up being
what he could be, I know.
If Ed Howard just ends up being like the same level as like pitching comparison to Crochet, Sox fans are going to hate it.
Right. And I mean, we're going to look back at
unfair, like you said, unfair, but like that's just.
And I have a big time feeling that we're going to be referencing this draft for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you guys think Howard's career path looks like?
What is it, like minimum 3 years away?
No, I would say that 3 years would be a good, but he is one of those kids that at age 20, I want to see what his size is. I want to see where he ends up like with development. He's a kid that could go to high A probably quick. He probably might finish will add nothing this year, but next year he probably will start. I bet you he starts at high A. I don't even think they start him low. Let him go ahead and just kind of throw him to the Sharks a bit and then see where he develops. And it's hard to kind of like gauge where we're going to go with the minor leaguers anyway, because there's going to be a lot of influx with how Major League Baseball, just because of the COVID and all that shit. But I think the kid has the potential to be a double A guy by the time he's 20. And from double A up, if you rake, there's no real set plan once you get to that point. If you exceed expectations, it depends on what the Cubs' needs are. Unfortunately for Eloy, the Cubs felt like they were ready to play right now, and they thought that Jose Quintana would be a great, addition to get another World Series, and it didn't pan out that way. This kid, I don't think that Theo's going to let this kid go. I think this kid's going to live or die, sink or swim with the Cubs, and I think that's a good point. I think it's a good thing because he's got some intangibles too. Everybody speaks so well of him, like everybody, and so that means he's got a good mental makeup too, which you can't always guarantee with a lot of these athletes, and that's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think obviously we know the glove's there. He has to show that he can hit, and I mean, I think it goes the game has changed so much now. Where like before you could have shortstops who would be like Gold Glove shortstops, but like weren't necessarily like great hitters. Like like even like Omar Vizquel was I was like whatever amount of like Gold Gloves that he had, but he wasn't all that great of a hitter. And then you have other guys like now it's like you have guys like Baez, you have guys like Lindor, Trevor Story, like you have guys who are like 30 home run guys who like hit like 280s. So the game has changed that. Like so he's gonna have to hit. It kind of reminds me of like Brennan Davis had that like wiry frame, when he was drafted a couple years ago by the Cubs, and then he had this big jump this last year in the minors, and now he's considered by a lot of outlets like the top prospect in the Cubs system. So it's going to be interesting. And like, again, like this year's so weird. Is there going to be a minor league season? Probably not. So like, where are these guys where are they going to play? Like, what are they going to do?
Arizona Fall League.
Yeah. And the hope that's going to be expanded. Hopefully that's expanded in October and November.
Road trip.
Yeah. It's like kind of weird. Like what are you guys going to do? But like if he gets to, obviously we know the defense is there. If he can show that he can hit, if he's 20 and he's at AA already.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw, and like if there's an emergency, we saw Nico Horner just go straight up after like 89 games in the minors. So,
what do you think, Aldo? Too like, what do you think this means? Is Zach Smart expendable now? Is he someone that you could use to get arms? Now that you have a Howard in your system, and you know that you got about 2 years of a window with these guys, even if their contract is up, you still got a 2-year window, or now 1 year, whatever it is, but. Is Zach Smart now all of a sudden like trade bait for an arm? Like an actual starter?
Zach Short, like 24, 23.
I think he's younger than that, isn't he?
Zach Short, let's see. I'm looking it up. Zach Short is 25. So I mean, I don't think it's like a big like trade they can, or like a big impact arm at this point. I mean, Zach Short is like your
Short. I kept him Smart. God dang.
He's basically what happened to Nico Horner last year, like in an emergency. Like this is the guy you bring up. But like no, I mean I don't know. Like it's too young. It's too as much as I love the Ed Howard pick. I mean he's only 18. I don't.
Right.
I want to see like the first year and a half of what he like gets, like what the jump is, what his first jump is going to be, how he adjusts. Yeah. Oh, again, just like Crochet, any of these guys, give him time. I don't know.
Yeah. He's 24. He's actually 24. So
who, Crochet?
No, Zach's Short. I'm an idiot.
Oh.
I'm not smart for calling him Zach Smart. I called him.
No, I think that that sounds like a decent. I'd like to see. I want to see the kid play. I'd like to see him. Like you said, the fall league's going to be great. We've seen a lot of talent just come out of that league, and it's a good gauge onto where he's at. And
again, like a lot of things can change. Like I was just thinking about you're saying like Baez, like there's no guarantee that he's like long term. Like we want it to happen. Like there's no guarantee that he hasn't signed an extension yet. Like thinking back to 2015, Starlin Castro was your starting shortstop.
Yep.
He got replaced just like that at the end of the year by Addison Russell. Mm-hmm. Addison Russell was fucking out of there 2.5 years later by Baez. Well, and when you think back to 2015 with Baez, like Baez was like, he was hurt when the year when he debuted in 2014, he was awful. That's when he had like the 40% strikeout rate.
But let's be honest here. Javi didn't get the job because he beat out Addison Russell. He got the job because Addison Russell beat out somebody else at home.
I mean, as much as we want to hide Addison Russell came back. And then when he came back, he didn't take over shortstop again. Like, Baez won that job.
It was ruined.
And Baez has shown that whatever defensive liabilities he had, he's one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball.
So is Russell, too. Outside of the field shit. But Russell was.
I don't know what happened to his arm because he was, and then
that kid, his arm, and he's unsigned still too. Like that's the sucky part. Like again, that's what happens though. Addison Russell was one of the top prospects in all the game. He was supposed to be the next Barry Larkin. I remember hearing that 1,000 times from everybody outside of the Oakland area. You're right, and he's just he's more like
these comps.
No, the comps. He was good for 2016. He was fucking legit, but
no, I can't lie. His defense was great, and then
it was enough to hold Javi off. But
yeah,
Worst case, Javi's going to not show up to the game late like he admitted to doing this year. He now has somebody on his heels that actually has ridiculous. Now, again, when you watch Javi's high school tapes from his draft year in 2012, was it 2012? When you look at Javi, I want to say it's 2012, but when you're looking at his videos and like you're looking at has 60 times, or you're looking at him in his baggy ass uniform, you look at him and you're like, okay. And then I look at the video of Howard, and I'm like, Howard is already more developed than Javi was at that age. As the same age. Actually, Javi was a little bit older for his graduating class too. Ed Howard is supremely gifted. Like, again, I don't want to say anything about Javi. Javi is a freak show. Again, freak shows, draft freak shows all day long. Love them. But
just what the Cubs are doing this year.
Oh, they've done it. Woo! Just take the freak show after freak show. Take the little unit, big unit, whatever we're going to call them.
Well, then we second round. So here, this is the guy. This is your guy.
Second round of the draft.
You basically got like another first round pick. What everybody's saying.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you look at it in the pre-draft rankings, Garrett Crochet was ranked 18th, and then in the second round of the draft, the White Sox got the 12th ranked prospect, Jared Kelly, out of high school in Texas. Another right-handed pitcher. Supposedly the kid's supposed to be just a stud, like very highly touted. He had the top-ranked fastball for high school pitchers. So they got the top-ranked fastball, collegiate arms, top-ranked fastball pitcher, high school arms. Another kid, 6'3", 215, has a pretty good slider. Obviously, he throws gas, has a good changeup. He was committed to Texas, but apparently they've had meetings before the Sox took him that the $1.58 million in his slot would be good enough to get him signed right away. I don't know. He's a good arm. He's another kid. They said he's closer to major league ready than a lot of the other high school arms in this draft.
And we can give a shout out to James Fox. I mean, he already had it after the pick was made. Source: it should be obvious, but the White Sox have a deal with prep right-hander Jared Kelly. He'll sign with the club instead of attending Texas this fall.
And even our message too. So you even asked me. I wasn't sure if you were like dicking around or if you like called him the wrong name. You asked about him yesterday in the first round. You're like, who is this Jared Kelly guy? And I'm like, wait, the guy from. And I thought you were talking about who was it? The other Kelly kid, right?
Oh, that was me. I asked about somebody. It was Jared Jones.
Jared Jones, yeah. And I was like, oh. And then the other kid, like, oh, this kid.
You brought up Jared Kelly, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was like, oh, this kid is blah 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 blah, and he's a legitimate damn. He's going to cost. He's going to cost you some money, but you're not making these picks in this draft if you don't have some sort of at least handshake agreement in place.
Right. And, and then I guess just to kind of, for the sake of time and everything, in the next two rounds, the White Sox went with unranked prospects.
Which, again, on the surface,
roll the dice.
On the surface, it might, you can be like, oh, Sox being cheap, not even trying to sign guys. But no, they legitimately sound like two first-round guys. And obviously, it's going to cost money because the Kelly, as it's been reported, has made it known it's going to take more than the slot to sign him.
Right, and so they went and they drafted a kid named Addison Coffey and Cade. I think that's Mickles.
I just want to say one thing about Addison Coffey. No offense to his parents, it's not his fault. He didn't pick his name, but that's spelling. Adisyn. Yeah, what is that? I'm sorry.
Not Cub fans.
Both righty pitchers. Cade had Tommy John, and he's kind of a smaller pitcher, 5'11", 185. Some people might be thinking that the White Sox kind of took a flyer on these kids. If they work out, great. If not, it helps pay for Crochet and Kelly. It's not a terrible move. I was extremely, I would say, surprised to see the White Sox go all pitching in this draft. I mean, they still have one more pick left, but interesting move in a 5-round draft to go all pitching. It's definitely you can never have too many arms, just like you can never have too many shortstops. You can never have too many arms.
But what does that tell you about how they feel about their offense and in their farm system? That tells them that they're pretty confident in what they got coming up.
Yeah, they're getting some guys back from injuries too. Some, pretty highly touted prospects that went down. And, that's one of the things, and we kind of touched on it in the show a little bit, that we all agree that this COVID and this whole season not being played kind of sucks. Well, it doesn't kind of suck. It sucks.
Sucks.
But
hate that guy.
It's also giving guys like Kopech and Rodon and, even some of the prospects like Birdie and Micker Adolfo and all these other guys more time to heal up and hopefully be the prospects that they were drafted to be. And but I don't know. I really think it's very interesting that they went all pitching. I think it's real interesting. So obviously for the White Sox,
in the mix. Well, at least with the two guys that they focused on, college arm in the first round, high school arm in the second round.
Yep.
Hey, and I'm going to tell this, Sox fans, don't sell these young men short that they took the gamble on. What they did was they took guys that had Tommy John, that were more discounted rate for signing, but had potential to be great before again, you take away some of these picks without the Tommy John, and they were higher, they were first, second round draft picks. You're taking a kid that is a risk. So they're going to sign for a lower deal that allows you to pay obviously your top two guys, but don't sell these young men short either. These kids, they're going to come back and you know what? You don't be shocked if the 3rd round pick this year, who was supposed to be a quote unquote throwaway so they could sign these other two, becomes someone that actually becomes a dude, because Tommy John isn't what it used to be. It is not. It's 100% like it's I wouldn't say minor surgery, but it's kind of minor surgery now. In fact, dudes that come back from Tommy John tend to come back with better velocity because their shoulders also increase strength and they actually have a better velo. A lot of that stuff's because of off-speed stuff when they were younger, whatever the case may be. Don't sell these young dudes short and say, oh, it's a throwaway pick either. I don't think those kids deserve that kind of label. They're not throwaways. They're just more of a gamble and they're more of a risk. But having faith in these kids is going to breed a White Sox loyalty, I think, with them in the system that will make them way more like program guys too.
And don't get me wrong, just like with Crochet, I'm saying I hope these kids turn out. If one of the two of them turns out to be like, let's say, a stud bullpen arm or something like that, that's awesome. I mean, actually, the Sox are on the clock right now for their 5th round pick.
Here it comes. Bailey Horn from Auburn.
Is he a pitcher?
He is a pitcher who is following Tommy John surgery and has bounced back at Auburn to become one of the better redshirt juniors available in the 2020 draft. His best weapon is a low 80s slider that shows flashes of becoming a plus offering. Also, low 90s fastball that tops out at 94, a get-me-over curveball, an effective changeup showing enough pitches to control to remain a starter if need be.
5 for 5 pitching. Interesting.
Got enough bats.
2 guys. Tommy John. Okay.
Don't judge it. Tommy John is not as what it used to be. It's just really not.
Kopech had Tommy John. I was like throwing 100.
It used to be a death sentence too. That's the crazy part about science. And this is why I think, and this is a totally different tangent. This is why I think baseball should really actually start thinking about how HGH and treatment and therapy should be something that they should actually consider as something that's acceptable under a doctor's care, as long as it's not like some quack with like maybe a Major League Baseball licensed physician. I think HGH should be something. It's good for recovery. It helps people like Andy Pettit come back, and it doesn't increase. If you're trying to recover from a Tommy John, do we maybe lighten up on our? Maybe do we not go full Richard Nixon on some of these performance helping drugs as opposed to enhancing? It's not steroids. It's different. It helps you heal, and that's a different part about steroids. There has been no known actual side effects that we know of it yet for now, but these kids, it's not a bad thing. I see these old dudes that look like they're freaking gorgeous and they're like 65 and they look like Adonis. is HGH the worst thing in the world? Like, it's not steroids. It's different. We associate PEDs with steroids, and maybe these guys need some recovery. Give them that opportunity to actually salvage their career with something that. Now, should you be using it once you're healthy? No. But rehab? Yes, I think so. I think so. Maybe I'm an idiot.
Yep. And then switching over, I guess, to the Cubs side of things. Second round, they went with Burl Caraway, pitcher from Dallas Baptist in Texas. 6 foot lefty. He's got some good stuff. I think that was a fantastic pick. Cubs had a really good draft.
So I want to say, one of the things about baseball, there are so many things that so many stats that you can track.
Mm-hmm.
So many websites that track different things. You know how you brought up that on Baseball America had Garrett Crochet as the best fastball in the draft for college pitchers? Trackman Baseball at Trackman BB on Twitter, they ranked the best four-seam fastballs in the entire draft. Number 1, Burl Caraway. The second round pick. So I just look up any stat check thing, and then you can build up your argument. But we got a 6'1" lefty, and we've seen this in not so much in the draft, but Cubs signing tall lefties who throw hard and have great curveballs. And they got another lefty with a great fastball, throws in the upper 90s. He can hit 100. Has a great curveball, command issues, control issues, needs to throw more strikes. But hey, tools. Love if you have a guy and he does something really great, the Cubs are going to get you.
Well, here's the cool part about Burl Caraway is a badass
name.
Right?
The name's great.
Dude came into college, Dallas Baptist University, DBU. The dude came in as a center field recruit who might pitch a little bit, and he developed another way. Now, he came in at 6 feet, 145. Now, they list him at 6 feet, 173, which means they took this fucking weight when he was wearing a bathrobe, soaking wet. But he came in as a center fielder. The dude runs, he's a fast twitch guy. They actually considered him to be one of their better base stealers. He has a high spin rate with his curveball. He has a high spin rate. I think it's above average. It's like a 2,700 RPM spin rate with his curveball. He has a quirky ass delivery, right? It's a little bit weird. And I think I told you, Aldo, it exhausted me watching his delivery because and I said Kershaw. And then I started doing a little research. Now, he's touched 100 apparently in the second start of the year. He throws 95, 98 basically. So take Clayton Kershaw delivery style, which is weird, deceptive. Then you take an 85 to 88 mile an hour slider that didn't exist before this year. Now, he throws a curveball. His curveball has a 26 to 2,700 RPM at 78, 80. Now he has an 85 to 88 mile an hour slider that he just unveiled this season before everything got shut down. He has a 15.56 strikeout per 9 innings. He was 4-2 and 2.81, 6 saves for a team that didn't win many games last year. And he held opponents to a 195 batting average. He looks like Kershaw when he delivers it as a lefty. Now, Kershaw is a Dallas native. And last year, this is what happened was they were doing an inner city baseball clinic in Dallas. Kershaw, being a Dallas resident, came out, and he actually got to pick his brain for a little bit. And Burl actually said, "Hey, do you ever have trouble throwing your breaking ball for a strike?" And Kershaw's like, "Yeah, that's why I started throwing a slider." Burl picked it up immediately, started toying with it. Now he threw it a few times in the game this year, becoming a third weapon. His fastball is already electric. His curveball is already ridiculous. And now he's learning that third pitch. This is a guy that you could set up if he develops continually, in a year or two, even because he's young. He's not that young. He's 20. So he could actually be ready in a year or two. So I think, Zaldo, you said it. Some people are saying he could be ready sooner.
I think in a normal year, it would be more. But again, with everything, we don't even know if there's going to be baseball, whatever. But again, in a normal season, he'd be one of these guys that you could see maybe pitch in the minors for a month and then come up in August or something like that.
He ran their fastest 60-yard dash, and he had a 42-inch vertical leap. He's an athlete freak. And I joked about it, but take Travis Wood and then make Travis Wood like a dirty closer. And you have a guy that could actually run the bases in the top of the bottom of the 8th and then come close it out in the top of the 9th. You got a guy that actually has athletic ability. Now, again, he was a center fielder until everything started to pick up. He's continually, every time he adds about 20 pounds, he also adds about 2 or 3 miles an hour to his velocity. If this kid continues on this path, I mean, Billy Wagner wasn't that tall. And Billy Wagner
6 foot. Yeah. And again, we go to the comps. That was one of the comps.
Oh, was it? Oh, I didn't see that one. No, that's a good one because he's small.
But I think that was again. But if it's more of the stuff, yeah.
So I think the kid, and he's smart. He's he's well liked by his coach. His teammates liked him. He's a kid that again was underlooked because he was like a two-way player, and he went to DBU, and DBU has produced a couple players, but he's obviously the highest DBU player ever. He pitched for USA Collegiate National Team as a freshman after his freshman year. He was they were like oh shit, this guy's kind of good. Mm-hmm. And his delivery, again, deceptive. You add stuff to the deception and you have a person that could actually have success in professional baseball. And it has to be both. You can't have like one or the other usually. When you have someone that can deceive a hitter and then brings dirty stuff like this, like his curveball, the 2,700 RPM, dear God, just sit down, take a seat. It's a hammer. You're done.
Yep. No, he definitely has a little hitch in his delivery where he hides the ball pretty well. Like he crouches. It's like he turns his back, not all the way, but it's the deception there.
It's not. I'm not gonna say it's like a good comparable, but it's kind of like in a sense Crochet, where Crochet has a much better chance of like developing into a starter. Mm-hmm. But like Crochet, like he's spent a lot of time in the bullpen, and like the ceiling is he'll be like a 2 or 3 starter. That's not really the case with Caraway. Again, if he gets that slider. I think I've seen in the scouting reports, like the velocity, like he can't really maintain it past like 1 or 2 innings. So like that's what's really going to bring him down. Like he's not a starter. He's going to be, his ceiling is like, hey, this guy can maybe be like a closer down in the future. So
you always ask a reliever to have a third pitch in your pocket if you need it. You really only need 2 pitches, but a third pitch is a nice wrinkle to throw in there. And he's learned a new wrinkle, and he got it from Kershaw. I can't hate the source,
right?
And then,
except in the playoffs,
in the 3rd round, Cubs got themselves another just great athlete. I mean, an all-around good player, outfielder from Michigan, Jordan, and it's Nwugo.
Pronounce it, Zoe.
Nwugo.
Wogu.
Ah, Wogu. But outfielder, like you guys said, he was actually recruited as a pass rusher. Mm-hmm. So, and he's even said, I'm a football player trying to figure out baseball. But just a lot of things that you can't teach going on with him, a lot of intangibles. 6'3", 235. And I know Kevin.
Awesome.
Dude, bro, he was an Ivy League recruited edge rusher. Think about that for a second. That means intelligence and brute damn strength and athletic ability. I don't use the word athleticism because I don't. It's actually not a real word. But if it were a real word, athleticism would describe this kid. He is a freak. He is actually bigger than Vlad Guerrero Jr. was at his age. He's 6'3", 235. Vlad's 6'2", 250. And he has a weird-ass swing. I've heard Bo Jackson comparisons, minus the arm, right-handed power, and speed and twitch and explosion. His dad grew up in Nigeria as a soccer fan and track and field fan, but academics was always number one. He actually graduated high school with a 3.96 GPA. He only started playing baseball in 6th grade. He's baby in baseball years. Mm-hmm. A baby. And his roommate, by the way, went 58th overall, Jeff Criswell. Big power to all parts of the field. Unorthodox. His swing is weird, which means they're going to craft that swing out. And if you look at the video of his swing, it's basically upper body. And he has a huge core and a huge lower body. So as they kind of unleash that swing and loosen him up a little bit, you're going to see a guy that can, consistently make contact and still drive the ball because he has fantastic hand-eye coordination in spite of his more top-hand swing. He has like a top-hand swing right now.
And again, just like with, the tools, the Ed Howard tools, great glove at shortstop, 2nd round, Caraway, best fastball, or one of the best fastballs, best reliever in the class. now 3rd round pick. Great raw power, which the Cubs system doesn't have a lot of like power hitters right now.
Yeah, the big thing with him is everything you read on him is just his
defense.
power.
His defense is questionable.
Defense is bad. No, like he's like left fielder, maybe. Like, hey, thank God the DH is coming to the National League.
DH.
Raw power, like great power, and apparently he's fast. Like speed,
He's also
so power and speed. So cool.
High intellect. Again, another high. This is like Theo Epstein. When they do their research, him and Jed Hoyer, they look for kids that actually have. They're not just athletes. Like, okay, be honest. I'm a baseball coach. Some of our best athletes that I've ever coached are meatballs, like straight up meatballs. Like they don't know anything other than hit ball hard, throw ball hard, hit ball far. Like these kids that they're taking, like again, yet another Big Ten kid, by the way. So there are going to be some battles if him and Schwarber play together. But you take these kids that are actually high intellect, kids that actually are students of the game. This kid says he loved baseball more than football because of practice. Baseball practice sold him on baseball. That is such a cool thing to hear from a player, is that he loved the process as much as he loved the game itself. And so Wogu, God, it's going to be really hard. Wogu, with that, and they said prodigious power, by the way, has like, he's a student of the game. He loves like the process of getting there. So you're not going to get a guy that checks out at practice. You're not going to get a guy that like says, morning BP is no big deal. Like we heard from some of the kids this year. Excuse me. But you're going to get a guy that like embraces the process of getting better. And when you have those guys in a clubhouse, it makes a big difference. And he is a first generation American. Like he is a product. His parents moved over here from Nigeria before he was born. His dad came here moved to Canada when he was, and then they moved. And then his father grew up in Nigeria, moved to Canada when he was 16, and then came to the United States. And then they obviously had built their son with discipline, and academics was always a top priority. He was a 3.96 GPA in high school. By the way, Chris Bryant was a 4.6. So the kid gives a shit about what he's learning, and he only just started in 6th grade. Like, God, it's just getting started for this kid. It's a good gamble.
No, for sure. And then to cap off the draft coverage here in the 4th round, we kind of alluded to him earlier. Cubs took a picture of lefty out of Texas, Luke Little. And yes, his name is funny because he is 6'8". 6'8", 225. He is a massive human being. But like you said, although if you're a lefty and you have a presence or do something well.
And he's 6'8", just imagine being in the batter's box facing that.
And he's
who knows? I don't know if he can throw strikes, but
he's hit 102 on the gun. I mean, he's a big boy. Like this is just a hoss.
Little unit. He went to San Jack. Okay, so those of you that don't know who San Jack is, you're not paying attention to the junior college baseball. San Jacinto out of Texas is one of the top like factories for college baseball players in the country. Roger Clemens, Andy Pettit, they're always in the top 25 every single year. This is the guy that hit 105 on an indoor workout in May on obviously a pocket radar, which isn't always. I have one of them myself, so I would say 102. Mm-hmm. Oh well. But he tends to work like 93, 96 when he's in longer outings. And that's what people don't get. When someone says they're sitting at 96, that means in the 4th inning of work, they're throwing 96. People that don't understand what that word means, 96 sitting at means after 4 innings of work, you're still throwing that cheddar. And so his secondary pitches need work. He had 86 strikeouts versus 39 walks in 44 and a third innings work at San Jack. He dropped 30 pounds in the offseason. His low 80s slider is his number 2 option, but he also has an upper 70s curveball and a kind of change up. 2.04 ERA, 69 strikeouts, 36 walks last year as a starter and reliever for San Jack. Again, San Jack. I can't stress that enough. That is a factory for studs.
Yep. So, I mean, overall, I guess final.
Wait, Cubs 5th round pick. That
Colin Moreno.
Cohen Moreno, high school pitcher, committed to ECU baseball. So I don't know about that. I don't know, 6'2" guy, 170 pounds, high school kid.
Cary, North Carolina.
The biggest thing, the draft is over. It's only 5 rounds because MLB owners want to save money.
Mhm.
But this is the Cubs didn't draft a college starting pitcher, which is something new. Because they've been going that direction since like 2012.
Seems like
Still-
both teams really switched it up a little bit.
Hey, don't judge this kid down though. This kid is a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. He has actually on perfect game. They love him. They love. Now, okay, these sites, perfect game, PBR, whatever. If you're a fan of, if you're a high school parent, these PBRs and these perfect game shit, it is kind of pay to play. I'm sorry, if you don't pay, you don't go.
Right.
So you have a kid that has a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. So they say he's in the 98.6 percentile. I don't know what that means. It means you're 98% of the kids. You're the best of the kids that paid to go play with perfect game. So he's a good legit. He's out of Carolina, pretty good size. He's a righty. He needs to fix his fucking hat because it's fucking flat build. But 2020 grad again.
Fiddler, get off the lawn.
Hey, he's a right-handed pitcher, outfielder, and shortstop.
Yeah, apparently he made
Cool.
the transition from shortstop to pitcher.
So again, less wear and tear on the arm. So we have, I think the Cubs. Actually, White Sox aside, Zoe, you can go to town. Cubs picked some really good athletes. I'll put it that way. If this was the good 2011, if it's the best draft since 2011, Cubs have some kids that are.
Like going off you, like the one thing I like, it's not like he does like everything kind of well. Like I don't know, give the guys like do something like really fucking great, and that's what the Cubs like. That's what they did with every single pick of their five picks in this year's draft.
Yeah, I think the Cubs had a really good draft. I think the Sox draft is interesting, and again, you could say this about every draft, but I really need to see how this one plays out. Where these kids, Han kind of put a lot on the line here, because if you pick 5 pitchers and not one of them make it to the show, you know what I mean? Or like,
but Zoe, ask yourself this: like, you guys have enough offense, especially with your young prospects. Why wouldn't you load up and throw enough darts at the dartboard with arms? You actually that shows the White Sox have faith in the offense they've built. And they have drafted over the previous years. This year is such a tight draft. You're only signing people that you're drafting people you can sign, but B, you're drafting actual talent. Like, you're going raw sometimes. And if the first 2 picks in this draft pan out, considering it's usually a 40-round draft, you win. It's a win. Like, you get in one draft, you get 3 prospects that maybe pan out of 40 rounds. Right. You have 2 that will probably pay off. And that's a huge win for the White Sox. They need to build arms, bullpen. Your bats are fucking ridiculously good. The Cubs need arms too, but the Cubs need to get flexibility too. They're in a different world because they're dealing with like high payroll guys. You don't have to worry about that for a little bit. And they're actually, I think the White Sox did a bang up job with this draft. They got crapshoots, but they got high floor guys, and that's a good win.
Yeah, no, I mean, by no means am I upset with this draft. I'm just very interested to see where this goes. I mean, the Sox farm system as it stands right now, as we all know, is extremely top heavy, but we do have some guys that are coming back from pretty serious injuries. Guys like Dane Dunning, Micker Adolfo, Basabe. And we'll see where these guys land. But all in all, it's a pretty good draft. A little point of concern is I think the Tigers had a fucking phenomenal draft. Having the first pick always does help with that. But even in the later rounds, they did some really good things. And so it always sucks to see, someone in your division. When you're looking at best drafts, when you see number 1 is a division rival, it's usually like shit. But it is what it is. I don't know. You guys got any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Out of these 5 picks, pick one guy who's going to be like the guy from this draft for your team.
Ooh, Let's do that. Yeah.
Gamble. Take gamble. One of the 5.
Of like just from the team.
Yeah. So like for the Sox, one of the 5 guys,
It'd
or
be
I guess one of the 2.
I would say Jared Kelly.
All right. Kevin.
I'm going Ed Howard, starting shortstop by 2024.
Oh. All right.
What about you, Aldo?
Huh? Also, Jack
Ed
Little,
Howard,
with a smaller
Rookie of
cup.
the Year, second base, 2023, as a 21-year-old.
Yep. Rocket.
All right. Well, that's the show this week. Hopefully, next week.
That doesn't make any sense.
Hopefully, next week we'll be able to talk about the new deal that's in place and the season starting and all this fun stuff, and everything's good to go.
It is what I got to say. I tweeted out yesterday. I was just glad, players were talking, like GMs, Theo, Han, everybody was talking about like the guys they drafted. It was great to see quotes and like actual baseball things instead of like owners think this about this deal. That's not going to happen. Players hate this fucking deal. It was great to see actual baseball stuff.
It's funny, like someone will tweet like the deal proposal, and then 2 minutes later, someone will be like, "I talked to an owner. It's not fucking happening."
That's literally what it is every single time.
Where's Ian Happ right now? Is the question.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing. The lease just ended in Arizona. That's why they left. They had to leave. They had no
Voted.
We should have them on our podcast as a triplicate, but
you know what? This is the first time I'm ever gonna say this. I hope they don't come on the podcast because that means they're actually getting ready to play baseball.
It's true. Wow. What do you want? Like 8 hours a day of workouts?
Yes.
You need 4.
But don't get hurt.
4 hours. They have 20 hours in the day.
I'm gonna pull a nuke. Just stay off social media. Look at the film.
All right.
Play
We'll
golf.
wrap it up there. So for Aldo, Fiddler, I'm Zoe, and we'll see you guys next week. Be good to each other. We'll talk to you.
Ed Howard, baby.
Whisper it.